Well, as we move on to the Tamale Pekka sweet tamarind and smoky chili hot sauce.
That is a name.
It is a name, and it is quite scrumptious, if I do say so myself.
Okay.
It's
I want to take like the spicy side.
starts sweet, and then kind of has a little zip after that.
Yep, that's in the throat. That's good.
For me, it's throat and mouth. And my lips are starting to tingle a bit, too.
I can tell the sweat's starting to come.
Well, we're only on number 3, so
I cranked the air down a little bit.
perks of being the tech guy.
Right from the phone.
So, in addition to being a tech guy, you have also been a storm chaser, although you
Yes.
probably didn't get paid.
Not a
anything
paid
for
storm chaser. Not a paid storm chaser.
But you told me how you enjoyed chasing tornadoes and storms across the Great Plains of Iowa. And one particular storm that you didn't really have to chase, it was just coming straight for your house anyway. Tell us about that
Yeah.
storm and any other great tornado stories you have for us.
Yeah. So I used to chase storms. That was after high school. Basically, I worked at the car lot, and you know how the stories of car salesmen, they sit around and have nothing to do a lot of times. So there's plenty of times it'd be like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, especially when it's storming. People don't want to look at cars. It's raining and stuff. And I'd be always interested in storms, so I would end up finding a friend and running out chasing storms at the end of the night, because that's when they always kind of come around here. That's a picture of the best one ever. That's an old picture, early 2000s probably, but over State of the Lake. I was chasing one out there and
That is quite large.
and had to run from it. But the worst one was in high school, my senior year. I was driving to a Dairy Princess competition.
Dairy
in Owatonna-
Princess
Owatonna,
competition.
Minnesota, from Rochester, Minnesota. So I was headed west. You know much about our storms. They come from the west. So I basically drove through a storm, saw a fireman on the side of the road. They were like, yeah, we're storm spotting. You need to get to Owatonna before the storm comes. Go as fast as you can. I was in my old muscle car with a friend, and we're just like, yeah, we just got permission to go as fast as we want. So we just like, out in the country, just going as fast as we want. So the rain started hitting us, and we're just like, just like flying 100 mile an hour, whatever we were going. And we're talking, blah, 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 listening to the radio, trying to listen to the storm. And then I looked down and I was like, guess how fast we're going? And my friend's like, I don't know, 100. And I was like, 40. He's like, what? I was like, yeah, the wind's blowing so hard. And it's a big car, they called them a boat back then. And it was just like, the engine was revving that high, trying to go straight into the wind.
Wow.
And so we were just like, this is insane. And we got to the place. It was kind of dark at that point, and I didn't notice anything. I went to this thing and brought my friend home and came home really late at night. And I remember pulling in, we lived on a dead-end road, gravel road. I pulled in, and there was a couch in the road. And I was like, around the couch, because I always drive fast. And pull in the driveway, and I was like, oh, there's a couch. And what? That couch is up in the top of the garage in the office, and like, that's so weird. And pulled in, and the next thing I saw was my dad's truck, and like 4x4 post had come through the front windshield, through the steering wheel, through the seat, all the way to the gravel. And I have
Just
a picture of it. I
impaled
just
the
didn't
car?
bring it, but yeah, all the way through. And at that point, you're like, is my dad dead? And I was like, okay, there's no blood in the car. Like, what happened? And the storm I went through is like a tornado, and of course it's pitch black because there's no power. So I'm trying to like get into the house and open the doors, and like the double doors are blown open, and the curtains are all over the place, and the dishes are all, and the cupboard doors are all open, and I'm going through the house trying to find people. Like, it's like a movie, slow motion, and go through the whole house. I'm like, okay, are they in the basement hiding, and did they die, and like all of that, is going through your mind. So I finally get to a phone, which phone lines back then still worked without power. They ran on their own line, and so it's like Mickey Mouse phone, like it's like forever, like going through, and anyways, I called the neighbor, and they were there. I couldn't talk because, I was so scared my voice wouldn't even work. They're like, they're here, they're okay, whatever. So it picked up our pole shed and just thrown it into our house. And it was an old farmhouse my dad had remodeled. So it was like very devastating. He had built a whole barn and a shed and a garage, and had ripped the top of that off. And It was pretty insane.
Wow.
Lucky everyone lived and all that kind of stuff, and it's all put back together again. But
Crazy.
yeah, it was intense. Very intense.
Before we move on to the next wing, I forgot to mention at the beginning that if you have other questions for Doug besides the ones that we're asking here, you can feel free to submit those online. We have my good friend Jared Leonard, who's manning the various chats and comments and all of that. And so if you want to submit your own question for Doug, you can feel free to do that, and we'll try to answer some of those as well.